OREA with a V4 is bringing a new concept of coffee brewer, with 4 different bases that can be attached to the body, giving you 4 different brewers in one tiny box. When with the V3 you can have 2 different sizes, the small one and the tall one, but both keeping the same geometry, with the V4 you can have 2 different geometries, the narrow one and the wide one. The narrow one have the classic geometry that you also have on the V2 and the V3, basically keeping the same angle of 73 degrees. The wide one instead has a wider angle, like the name suggested, but still slightly narrower compared to other classic drippers, like for example the V60, that gets a name from having a V shape with a 60 degrees angle. The OREA V4 wide has an angle of 65 degrees, and they say that this is a sweet spot they found to make a difference in terms of flow compared to the narrow one, but without becoming a slow ball. Slow ball. I like this term. Both of them, narrow and wide, are coming with 4 different bases, and now let's dive deeper into them. Okay, before to dive deep, I just want to remind you that if you are interested to get the OREA V4 as well as the other OREA products, you can follow the link in the description or use the code Matteo from the Swamps at the checkout to get 10% off on the entire order. Just to let you know. Now let's go with the bases and let's start with the classic. The classic doesn't need to have further introduction if you are already familiar with OREA. It keeps the same design like the V2 and the V3, with 32 small teeth that we saw in the OREA V3 Mark II. And this is to keep the same consistency and fast flow rate. Then we have the open base, and we saw this design in the OREA glass dripper, where you have a big hole with no ridges or teeth and just a support for the paper filter. The open base gives to the OREA a different flow, focused more centrally compared to the other flat bottom bases, giving a completely different flavor profile to your coffee. I personally love this base, and I have to say that it's my favorite so far, because you can highlight the acidity of your coffee like a conical dripper without compromising the sweetness, typical from a flat bottom brewer. I just love this base. Then we have the fast base. Can OREA get any faster? Yes, it can. This takes the idea they explored with the big boy, with 32 ridges that makes the brewer hard to be clogged. This base gives a major airflow that makes the drainage faster compared to the classic base. And the flow is more focused on the whole surface of the bottom, giving to your coffee a nice sweet profile, but in a faster way, so that you can experiment with finer grind sizes and different paper filters. Basically, a base where you can play a lot. Last but not least, the apex. This base brings OREA V4 to a new level, pushing the dripper away from the flat bottom concept. In fact, with this base you can transform OREA into a conical dripper, or with the help of the negotiator you can create something in between conical and flat, bringing something new to the filter coffee world. With different tips of the negotiator you can shape the paper with a more pointy or round bottom, giving different flows and flavor profiles to your coffee. You can already see that there is so much to talk about this apex system, but I will do it in a separate video, because otherwise for this one it will be too much. But briefly you can see that the base is a big hole without support, and this allows you to fit the conical filter. Also, you can notice the 20 channels that it has around the hole. These are useful to increase the airflow without changing the inner geometry. Usually conical drippers use ridges that stick out to create airflow, but that changes the internal geometry and can change the shape of the paper filter. With the apex base, the brewer maintains the same inner geometry, but with an increased airflow. Each of these bases can be attached to the body, that you can see OREA kept it flat internally, like the OREA V3. And this is to reduce bypassing, especially when we use flat paper filters. The body and the bases are made of BPA-free high-impact polypropylene, a material that is food safety approved by the FDA and the European Union, and also is the same material that they use to make the V3 Mark II and the big boy. The support base that you find in the box is made of metal, and this is to bring a bit of nostalgia, combining the metal material from the V2 and the plastic material from the V3. But also for me the metal base gives more stability and support to the brewer over a server or a cup when we brew our coffee, and that because of its weight. The difference in weight compared to the V3 with the base is just less than 40 grams. It doesn't weigh a lot, and it actually gives to the brewer a nice premium weight. Speaking about the kind of paper filter you can use with the OREA V4, you can imagine now that the range increased. You can use the OREA paper filter Wave, which has a similar size compared to the Kalita 185, but they're made of a different paper quality. You can use the Kalita ones if you already have them. It can also fit the Kalita 155. They will sit a bit lower in the brewer, but they still work. With the help of a negotiator, you can use flat paper filters. You can find different types of them on their website. Each of them give a different flow rate and can highlight different characteristics in your cup of coffee. Now, with the Apex base, you can also use conical paper filters, any brand you prefer. Basically now, the options are almost limitless. My personal opinion about this brewer is positive. The first time I saw the brewer prototypes, I was a bit confused, to be honest, because there was so much to take in and digest. But now that I use the OREA V4 for most of my coffees, I have to say that the idea is brilliant. I really believe that this can be the future of coffee brewing, and I also believe that many brands will take inspiration from this OREA V4 system, where you can change parts to change flow and flavor profile of the coffee, and give the possibility to shape different brewing techniques based on the kind of coffee you want to brew. We see today also a change in coffee production, more experimentations, more varietals, more processing methods, and these coffees need a brewer that can adapt to get the best out of them. And I found the OREA V4 being the best option so far. I'm always grateful for the amazing support the OREA gave me since the very first day they released the first brewer. You can say there is a bit of bias in this review, yes, I don't hide it. There is a sentimental attachment with the products, the brand and the people that work in it, and I'm not afraid to say that. But honestly with you, they have created something very special with the V4. Think about all the brewers that we have and we love in our cupboard. They can fit almost all of them in one tiny box. This can have a positive impact on the environment. Less plastic, less weight, less space, less consumption of fuel for transportation. This is just brilliant on so many levels. With my opinion, I'm wrapping up this video. I hope that I brought you a better look into the new OREA V4. It will definitely follow more videos about brewing technique and more in-depth reviews about the bases. I want to remind you that you can follow the link in the description for more info and that you can use the code Matteo from the Swamps at the checkout to get a 10% off the entire OREA order. If you want to leave a comment or questions, you are very welcome to do so. Just drop them in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next videos. And in the meantime, I wish you a wonderful day and delicious coffee. Ciao!